What's going on, everybody? First off, to the people listening or watching live, my profound apologies. We are 22 minutes late starting the show. Technical difficulties. I hope we're off and running. It's not on Jim's end. It's on my end. Am I smooth here? Am I shaky? I'm fine. I'm fine. It's all the confidence I need right now. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. My profound apologies. Again, we got the Phillies to talk about what they had going on last night in South Philadelphia yesterday afternoon against the Atlanta Braves as they wet the bed in this series. I really can't think of any way to say. They came up extremely small. Offense came up extremely small. Pitching showed up. Pitching wanted to win. Pitching wanted to get first place. Pitching wanted to get first place. They weren't going to do that in a weekend. They wanted to go after a first place team. And they weren't able to do that against the Atlanta Braves because the offense let them down. Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola, who, yes, again, battled through 6 innings of work, but it's 6 scoreless innings of work. And I realize it was 103 pitches, but it was 6 scoreless, 2 hits, 2 walks, no runs allowed, and did not have that big, bad blow-up inning that we're all terrified of whenever we watch Aaron Nola. Even when things seem to be going well, we know that inning is lurking, and last night it was not lurking against one of the best offenses in baseball. Certainly when it comes to the long ball, one of the best offenses in all baseball in the Atlanta Braves. I said after last night's game, after yesterday afternoon's game, I'll do that all show. I can't take Kyle Schwarber in left field anymore. I just can't do it. I can't do it. There's got to be a better way. And Rob Thompson, we'll let you hear from him after the game. He talked about Kyle Schwarber. He's not going to take 20 home runs. He's not going to take it on base percentage like that out of the lineup. He's not going to do it. So right now you just got to sit with it. So there's not going to be a Christian Pache revolution in left field. There's not going to be Bryce Harper at first base and then Kyle Schwarber moving into the designated hitter position. That's just not happening. Not now, not next week, maybe after the All-Star break. And I really feel like the Phillies are not going to be able to put their best foot forward until they do have Kyle Schwarber as their designated hitter. There is no way, shape, or form that this is the best version of Phillies baseball that we are watching right now. And I know I say that a lot about a guy like Trey Turner is trying to figure it out. I was saying it earlier in the season about Kyle Schwarber, who is trying to figure it out from the plate as well. I've been saying that about a lot of different players on this team as the season has gone on. But when you just watch this team overall, there's no way you can tell me with Kyle Schwarber in left, this is their best. This has not been a problem like it was last year. Last year, I don't know if it was just because of the offense. I don't know if because there's other distractions on the team. I mean, last year you had Nick Castellanos struggling. This year you had Trey Turner struggling. And still, I'm very much noticing, more so than last year, at an alarming rate, how much Kyle Schwarber is struggling as a left fielder. From the plate, the home runs are there, the power's there, on base percentage is great. But when it comes to everything else, that is a big, big problem, defensively speaking. I mean, you look at the play last night. Who was it? Acuna Harris that hit that ball down the left field line. And Schwarber is running over to it and can't get there in time, and he turns the single into a double. Anybody else on this team that's playing left field is getting to that baseball, and they're holding it to a single. And they ended up not biting the Phillies in the old behind because Trey Turner started playing miraculously at shortstop yesterday and saved a run scoring twice with the way he was playing shortstop yesterday. But the opportunity was there. You're breathing down your pitcher's neck if you're allowing opportunities like that should not be allowed. You should not be awarding opportunities. They had an opportunity with Kyle Schwarber getting to a ball late, and they almost took advantage of it. And then, of course, in the 10th inning, the most glaring, and he drops that line drive. Should have been able to get out of that inning. Instead, 2 runs score, another run scores and a home run, and their 2-run home run, and then just everything falls apart after that. And the Phillies went from a manageable 1-0 deficit going into the bottom of the 10th inning. I say manageable, even though the Phillies hadn't done anything with runners in scoring positions throughout the game. Phillies didn't do anything throughout the game. 3 hits through 9 innings of play. You get the runner on second base, obviously, in the bottom of the 10th inning, as you do in extra innings, both teams, and that's how the Braves were able to score. The Phillies were going to have that same opportunity to do it, so it's not an insurmountable lead. But to all of a sudden score, but it would have had to be 6 runs to win that game. I'm going to go ahead and say with the way the Phillies bats have been swinging it, insurmountable. Kyle Schwarber had a beat on it. He was charging the ball well. It hit his mitt, and it dropped. I don't want to call it a dive for the ball. It was more of a lunge. But bottom line is he should have had that ball. Rob Thompson said after the game, yeah, he should have had that ball. I mean, there's no excuses you could make up for anybody struggling in the way that he was struggling last night in left field. So he called it what it was. I appreciate his candor. I appreciate the fact that he was completely honest with us. And I appreciate the fact that he didn't try to, lie to us. Well, Schwarber's been doing great for the plate, so, plays like that are going to happen. No, he didn't sugarcoat it. He, in throwing, it's not I don't like when managers are honest or coaches are honest and people call it throwing a player under the bus. It's not he threw himself under the bus. The coach or manager just acknowledged what happened. So he acknowledged what happened and then started to praise Marte and the job Marte did. Marte did exactly what he was supposed to do. You'll hear from Rob Thompson coming up in just a minute when talking about what happened after the game. But just an extremely disappointing series from the Phillies. And if you're trying to scratch and claw for optimism, they were in both these games. They were in both these games. It doesn't feel like it, but they were in both these games. With Ranger Suarez on the hill for the Phillies, then having to go to the bullpen in the game that apparently most of your bullpen wasn't available for. And then last night, 0-0 through 9 innings of work. 0-0 through 9 innings of work for both squads, and they couldn't come up with a win. We'll also get into the NBA draft last night. Sixers went pickless. I didn't think that they were going to make a pick. We talked about this with Keith Pompey yesterday. I did not think that they were going to make a selection. I didn't know what they were going to trade to try to make a selection. Are they going to trade later picks for picks now? Why? Just to get into the second round? That didn't make any sense to me. So they did get some value, and we'll get through it. And when I say value, they got players last night. They signed undrafted players, and going through the NBA playoffs last year, this past season with the Miami Heat and what the Miami Heat had going on with their undrafted player, you got something to look forward to. Now, a couple of these guys were drafted to be, they were expected to be mid to late second round picks. So we'll get to that. One is a brother already in the league. We'll get to that conversation. But the NBA draft took place, and basically the 76ers had nothing to do with it. Last night was a reflection night for me when it came to just following the NBA draft. Two things. One, I find kind of just hilarious considering the world we live in now. But number one, to go into a draft after the process and not have any picks is insane to me. Absolutely insane. When I think back about how excited I used to be for the NBA draft, like how I look at the second round of the playoffs now is how I used to look at the draft through the Hinkie years, unfortunately through the Colangelo years. That's how I used to look at the draft. This is it. You sucked. You won 10 games all year. You won 18 games. You won 19 games all year. You went through another injury of Joel Embiid. He can't play a second year. Now you have another top 3 pick. Oh, man. And then to look at it, and even the second round pick, because one of the things Hinkie would always do is stockpile the second round picks. Oh, they could be used as sweeteners later in the draft. Right? This is the thing that was always said. But watching all of that and just following the draft last night and going into it without any picks, I felt was just a funny thing to look at from last night. And wow, they're going into this with no picks after the stockpile of picks that Hinkie acquired. We've spent them all, and the last drops of them were from the James Harden trade and flipping them to the Brooklyn Nets. That's where we're at right now, folks. That's where we're at. If you watch this show, if you listen to this show regularly, you knew that Tobias Harris was not getting dealt last night. I have still said that they'll open the season with him on the roster, and maybe he's a deadline move. But I actually think if he does get moved at all, it'll be well before the trade deadline. I would love to see some team just unloading players at the trade deadline and then all of a sudden overpaying for Tobias Harris just to get that money for the end of the year. But I still see that as unlikely. That's even more reason why I think he would be dealt earlier in the year. Jimmy Butler time of year when the Sixers acquired him, to be honest. But looking at that draft last night, I did not see where the Sixers were going to all of a sudden deal Tobias Harris for picks, for instance. I just didn't see it happening. The second thing about last night is we live in a day and age now where do we like Woj or Sham or anybody tweeting out picks right before they happen? Is there a more, and I know it happens in the NFL too, it happens like in every draft now, but like, is there, I don't know if there's a more, I don't know what the word for it. I was trying to think of it last night. I just can't think of it. The only word that came to mind was narcissistic. Is there a more narcissistic? I'm going to tell you what you're about to hear. I'm going to tell you right now what you're about to hear. I'm going to tell you right now. Like everyone's just about to find out. The fact that you told me 30 seconds earlier, why? Why even, like, let me know the trade that could be working. Let me know. And they still do this as well. But when they beat the commissioner to announcing the pick, I just think that's the most useless reporting possible. Like, in the early days of Twitter, that was kind of, oh wow, I already know, that's pretty cool. But now it's like, no, just let me know who's working on trades now. We're about to find out right now who's going to be the next guy. We're about to find out right now. That's just one of those weird things that popped in my mind last night. So yeah, we'll get more in depth with some of the guys that the Sixers picked up. We got a little bit of reports on them. We'll get to that as the show goes on today. Like I said, we'll hear from Rob Thompson in just a little bit about last night's game and what the heck the Phillies had going on. So we'll get to all that. Jimmy, how am I doing? Jim, how am I looking? We're still jumping around a little bit. This is fun. You know what I haven't done yet? I'm going to take a glance at the chat and just see what happened. Did anybody get anybody? Tyvita! Looking at the chat. Don't be late again, Farzy. I know, I'm sorry. Appreciate you guys hanging in there. You guys are the absolute best. April, mark on that dealer time this morning. Yeah, I know. I had to restart my computer twice. I don't know what the hell the problem was. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I got to the chair late, was feeling sick after. I don't know what it is about eating in the suburbs, man, but I'll tell you what I miss about the city. I really do miss the food, man. And there's definitely perks of being in the suburbs. There's definitely, having a driveway is nice. Not having to like load the car with a bunch of kid stuff, close it, go back, get more kid stuff, go back to the car, open it up, load it, park it on the street, whatever, and all that stuff. There's definitely perks, but the food just isn't. I do more cooking than I ever have in my life, probably since college. This is probably the most cooking I've done since college. Yeah. But yeah, went out with the missus last night. I did not have a Phillies post-game show to be worried about. We already did that, being that it was an afternoon game. Went out, actually had a lovely meal. It was a great meal. One portion of the meal in particular was, I'll say this, bold. Okay, bold. If you guys are fans of like Frito misto, right? Like a fried seafood salad type deal, or fried calamari, fried shrimp, all that good stuff, right? I'll just say this. It was heavily battered. I expected for the place that I was at, I was expecting that it was going to be lightly, lightly fried, lightly breaded. It was not. It was like going to an English pub and ordering fish and chips. And don't get me wrong. Oh, I love a nice fish and chips, man. And I've had fish and chips in old London town, and it was fantastic. But this place did not expect. The entrees, delicious, wonderful. But man, I'm feeling that. And you can't put fried fish in front of me, and then all of a sudden I just go, oh no, I won't have any. What am I, a barbarian? No. So I'll just say this. I'm feeling it this morning. So that, I'm not food poisoned or anything like that. I'm a fat bastard is what that's how I feel sitting in front of you guys or with you guys this morning. All right, let's get to hey, let's all feel good, right? Let's talk about the Phillies. Womp, womp. Anyway, my apologies one last time about being on that dealer time today. Let's talk about those Phillies and what we went through in this series. First off, measuring stick series against the Atlanta Braves. They only played 2 games because the middle game got rained out. The Phillies dropped both games against the Atlanta Braves. Last night, in 10 innings, they lose 5-1. The previous night, the previous game, they lose 4-2. The Phillies, in that game 3 nights ago, the first game of this series, Phillies only muster together 2 runs. 2 runs. They had 11 hits, but they only come up with 2 runs. In that game, they go 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The only player to get a hit with a runner in scoring position was a 2-out single, plating Brandon Marsh, and it was off the bat of Nick Castellanos. So in game 1, they struggle. They wet the bed. Then in this final game of the series, the Phillies just can't get anything going offensively. In that game 1 that I just mentioned, Ranger Suarez, 6 innings, 1 run baseball. Yesterday, Aaron Nola, 6 innings, 0 run baseball. 12 innings by your starting pitching. You allow 1 run to cross the plate. Starting pitching allows 1 run in 12 innings in 2 games against the Braves. And you lose both those games. If you're Rob Thompson, if you're Kevin Long, I don't know what you say to these guys as the time goes on, but the runners in scoring position thing, that needs to improve. The running on the base paths thing, that also needs to improve as that started to rear its ugly head again in this brief 2-game series with the Braves. You know the difference between the Phillies and the Braves? And I got into this yesterday. He's talking about a Braves team that, for the most part, is fundamentally sound. They do the little things, and they do the big things. The Phillies seem to, for the most part, do the big things well. They were hitting well with runners in scoring position going into this series in particular, and not so much. But everything else, the Phillies had started to do really well. Running the bases, that wasn't as big of a problem as it has been, or the early goings of the season. And now it seems to be a problem again. But yesterday, it wasn't a problem. You know why? Because they didn't have runners on base to begin with. So 2 things. One, you're not going to make base running blunders when you're not on the base paths. And the other is you're not going to get thrown out of the base paths if you're not already on the base paths. It was like the Phillies regressed drastically, offensively speaking. If I was to say there was one reason why the Phillies lost this series, it's because they regressed offensively. The Braves just had answers for them. Everything the Phillies could do offensively. They're 11 hits, fine. You're only going to get 1 hit with runners in scoring position. Cool, thanks. Oh, you're going to get another 6-inning, 0-run performance from your starting pitcher? Guess what? You're not going to score any runs. 3 hits. And the 2 hits you had in 1 inning, Kyle Schwarber stepped up to the plate with an opportunity. If he goes long ball, which is not absurd to think in June for Kyle Schwarber, then all of a sudden you're going to be up in that game 2-0. Or excuse me, 3-0. And he couldn't come through. Very frustrating game, offensively speaking. Game 1, Spencer Strider just throwing fastballs, man. Just throwing fastballs. And Phillies couldn't figure it out. They couldn't time it. They couldn't locate it when it came to the life and movement on those fastballs. And, hey, the Phillies aren't the first team to suffer like that against Spencer Strider. But they did in Game 1. And then against Elder yesterday, I give the guy a lot of credit, man. He was just hammering the strike zone, and the Phillies just couldn't come up with anything. Brandon Marsh got a couple of hits for you. But other than that, man, it was slim pickings. Opportunities in a couple of innings by getting the leadoff man on, and the Phillies couldn't do anything with that. There was just no big hit. Time and time again, just no big hit throughout this series, and man, it came back to bite them. To go through a little bit of the play-by-play, I won't run through the whole thing, being that it was an afternoon game, and you guys have had plenty of time to digest. No pun intended, given my night last night. But I will say this about yesterday. Roman De Jesus, the home plate umpire, inconsistent strike zone for both sides. This isn't just a complaint for the Phillies. This is a complaint for baseball. And I will say that I really enjoyed John Kruk's the little graphic they put up there yesterday with John Kruk, so many days since he last ripped an umpire. You know, they complained about the umpires, I believe is what happened. Krucker got apparently slapped on the wrist when it came to the league and maybe even the network, saying, "Hey, don't insult, don't attack the umpires." But hey, call it as you see it, Krucker. Keep doing your thing, man. But anyway, yesterday I'm watching this and Krucker's just like, "Oh, this is a great call. It's a great call." The high strike was very inconsistent yesterday by Roman De Jesus behind the plate. Bryson Stott, I think, got caught up on that more than anybody because there was a pitch that he took that was a ball that was called a strike. And then later it was called a strike, or it was a strike and it was called a ball. So finally, in one of I think it was his third at bat, he gets a high strike. He hacks at it, unfortunately, and ends up striking out or ends up lining out to left field. but it was out of the strike zone. He felt like he had to swing at it. It was inconsistent throughout the game, but most notably, what was most inconsistent was whether or not that high pitch that came in at the top of the zone was a strike or a ball. And that is a little frustrating when it comes to either your pitcher or it comes to your batter. In this case, I'll argue for the batter's point of view when it comes to the Phillies not being able to get anybody across the plate through 9 innings of baseball. But let's go through that play-by-play real quick. All right. First inning, you think, all right, Aaron Nola has a 8-pitch first inning. Oh, it's going to be a long outing for Aaron Nola. 8-pitch first inning. Let's keep it on cruise control. Then the Phillies get Trey Turner on base with 1 out in the first inning. He gets hit by the pitch. And then, of course, Nick Castellanos steps up, and it's a double play. You're out of the inning after Kyle Schwarber had led off with a ground out to short. Keep it going now. This is where Nola goes the complete different direction than he did in the first inning. 8-pitch inning. In inning number 1 for Aaron Nola, 11-pitch at bat that ended in a walk to lead off the top of the second inning to Marcell Ozuna. Then it's a 1-pitch at bat to Matt Olson. He flies out to left. Darno strikes out on a foul tip sinker. Rosario pops out to first on that crazy circus catch by Cody Clemens. I'm telling you, if he doesn't make that catch yesterday, that's first and third with 2 outs. If he doesn't make that catch, I think that ball bounces on at least the chalk down the first baseline, as Cody Clemens ran like 50 feet around to go 5 feet in front of first base because of the wind swirls or whatever. But that was a crazy play by Cody Clemens. Good hustle to him. Bryce Harper goes up there in the bottom of the second inning. He grounds out to first. Real Muto goes up there, strikes out in the sinker. Stott lines out to center field. Third inning, another long at bat. This one by Arcia, who ended up grounding out to Bohm at third. Harris flies out to left field. Acuna grounds out to short. Quick inning, but a 9-pitch at bat to lead things off. So you see these innings start to really, these pitches in these innings start to really stack up for Aaron Nola. No better example than in the 4th inning when it was a 28-pitch inning for Aaron Nola, still able to come out of it unscathed. When he got out of that 4th inning, he had allowed just 1 hit. He had issued 2 walks, no runs, obviously, and he was at 77 pitches by the 4th inning. Crazy inning there for Aaron Nola. Now in the 4th inning, Trey Turner works a great at bat, an 8-pitch at bat. He works a walk out of it. Leadoff runner on. Ooh, something brewing. You got some speed. For a guy like Trey Turner that hasn't been caught yet stealing this season, maybe tempt fate. Maybe tempt fate a little bit. But Nick Castellanos comes up. He ends up striking out on a sinker. Bryce Harper steps up, flies out to left. Real Muto ends up grounding out to short. Turner did steal second in that at bat, so he had a runner in scoring position with JT Realmuto at the plate with 2 outs, and the Phillies couldn't cash in. Couldn't cash in with the runner in scoring position. Couldn't cash in by getting the leadoff runner on by a walk. Going to the 5th inning, it's a 15-pitch inning for Aaron Nola. He's at 92 pitches by the close of the 5th inning. Now in the 5th, mentioned those 2 hits the Phillies got in the same inning. Here we are. Bryson Stott. This is where I think he got tripped up a little bit on that inconsistent strike zone by De Jesus behind the plate. But Bryson Stott goes up there, lines out to left field. High strike, but he went after it. A pitch that had been called a ball, but was called a strike in that at bat. And then he had a hack at it for the last pitch of the at bat. He ends up lining out to left field. Then Alec Bohm gets up there. He gets a single to left. Cody Clemens, unfortunately, lines out to right field. So now you got 2 outs. Got a runner on first. Brandon Marsh steps up, gets a single to left field. Just dropped it in beautifully. You get 2 runners on. First and second, 2 outs. If you only have 1 at bat, if you only have 1 out to spare, and you have 2 runners on, you know who I want at the plate? I want a guy named Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber steps up and strikes out. He gets 4 straight sliders in a 5-pitch at bat. And he swings over top of one of them, completely fooled on it, and that ended any threat for the Phils. Now in the 6th inning, will Aaron Nola come out? Will he stay in the dugout? Is he done? Are they going to the bullpen? What's going on? Well, they go to Aaron Nola. Acuna comes in there. He strikes out on a sinker. Then Albies goes up there. He gets a double left center field, so you're starting to sweat a little bit. Then he gets Austin Riley to strike out on a sinker. It was the 6th full count of the day for Aaron Nola. So you know that pitch count is definitely going up there. And then he gets Ozuna to ground out to third on a 1-pitch at bat to end the 6th inning. 6 scoreless from Aaron Nola. You continue to go on and struggle throughout the rest of the game offensively. In the 7th inning, you have Soto go into the game. That's where Trey Turner just played phenomenally well. Olsen led off the inning by grounding out to short. Nice play by Trey Turner. Nice stab there with a bad hop in front of him there. Then d'Arnaud ends up working a walk. Pilar gets a pass ball. While that happens, d'Arnaud takes second. He ends up grounding out. d'Arnaud ends up grounding out to third. And then there's a mound conference with Soto. Somebody thinks there's something wrong with his hand. He ends up striking out Arcia on 101 mile per hour fastball to get out of that. Phillies go down 1-2-3 in the 7th. And I'm sorry, this is where there was that play with Kyle Schwarber in left field. In the 8th inning, Harris steps up to the plate, hits the double down the left field line. Should have been a single. Schwarber's slow to it, and they end up stretching it into a double. Then Acuna goes up there, hits a sac fly to right field. So then you have Harris take third base. At this point, Trey Turner goes in lockdown mode at short. Has a really nice play on Albies to save a run. Then there's another mound conference. This one's with Rob Thompson. They intentionally walk Austin Riley. He gets the intentional walk there. And then Ozuna comes in there, grounds out to short again. Trey Turner saved the run from scoring from third twice in that inning to help bail you out. 8th inning, nothing doing for the Phillies. 9th inning, nothing doing for the Phillies. 10th inning, Marte's pitching, and we all know how that one went. I don't know where the Phillies go with this with Kyle Schwarber, except that if you're really waiting for anything to happen, it's not going to happen until Bryce Harper is ready to play in the field. Simple as that. After the game, Rob Thompson addressed the media and was talking about where he's at mentally after a 2-game sweep at the hands of the Atlanta Braves in a measuring stick series.
Could have won both those games, really. Today's game was a great game. Just let it get away from us in the 10th inning. But I think our guys really pitched well. Nola was outstanding. The bullpen was really, really good. Even Marte, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He put the ball on the ground. The ball that Schwarber misplayed, that should end the inning. Then he ended up hanging a breaking ball to Ozuna, but Ozuna should have never come to the plate. So struck Albies out, struck Olsen out. To me, he did his job.
That is, as some people might call that thrown under the bus. I don't. That's exactly what happened. The fact that he went back to it when he talked about Ozuna's home run, and he was like, yeah, you should have never been at the plate. You should have made that play in left field. That's just putting a microscope on Kyle Schwarber. So, of course, there's a follow-up question to it about Kyle Schwarber and what you do with Kyle Schwarber and left. And here's how Rob Thompson answered that question.
Yeah, he's had some misplays, but, I'm certainly not going to take 20 home runs and is on base out of the lineup. So I think that's still a plus.
It is, but where do you go from here? Look, I was joking about this 2 weeks ago before the Phillies went out on that road trip, and Bryce Harper had just got it under a pitch, and he was trotting off the field and goes into the dugout and friggin' slams his helmet, takes his helmet off and slams his helmet against the wall. It bounces back to him. He picks it up, throws it against the wall again. I'm like, well, I guess that elbow's okay. That's his throwing arm, and he's really zipping it. And then last night, he had another long fly ball that he hit on the screws that went right into Harris's mitt in center field. And he goes back into the dugout, and I think they knew what was coming. This is great directing here, folks. Stay with Harper. Stay with Harper. And he goes up the field. He goes down the dugout steps, and he walks down. And it's actually a picturesque shot. Harper, number 3, back of his jersey, and takes the helmet off, and whammy! Throws it against the wall again. And I'm like, again, that elbow's looking strong. How much longer we got to wait? I'm seeing the footage of him before the game, throw it in the outfield. That's great. I've reached the point with Kyle Schwarber in left field where I don't care about anything else anymore. Put Bryce Harper out there or move Nick Castellanos out there. Whatever you got to do. You have your regular first baseman, whatever, and then have Kyle Schwarber as your DH. Okay, so what about Bryce Harper throwing the ball in the outfield? Can he really throw it like that in the outfield? The whole point of him learning first base is so he doesn't have to use his arm anymore. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if he has to trot in every catch he makes in left field. I don't care who's in left or if he's in right and you're moving people around. I don't care. If he's got to catch a fly ball and home run trot it in to the second baseman, hand it to Bryce instead and say, hey, you throw this back to the pitcher. I don't care if he's got to play bocce in center field or in the outfield to roll the ball back in. I got 1,000 times more confidence in him making it to a fly ball that's hit close to the line than I do in Kyle Schwarber. And even if Bryce Harper fielded that ball off the bat of Harris in the 8th inning and threw to second, he would have held Harris to a single. Because Bryce Harper would have made it to that ball. Even with the velocity in which he threw his helmet, if he throws a baseball with that same velocity, even if he throws it sidearm, he's making it to second base before Kyle Schwarber. He's holding Harris. Bryce Harper today, wherever his arm is and elbow is and getting healthy, he's making that play to hold Harris to a single. Now, again, the play didn't end up biting the Phillies in the old behind because the Trey Turner all of a sudden was playing great at shortstop. But that play in particular stuck out to me. And also, Bryce Harper's making that catch. Let's go to the obvious. Bryce Harper's making that catch in the 10th inning. Bryce Harper now is making that catch in the 10th inning. Absolutely terrible. Did they, by the way, I meant to check this. It was ruled an error, and then it was ruled a hit. And I'm not sure if it held up as an error or not. Let me just double check that for you guys in case you guys were just as curious as I was. Yeah, it's an error. Thank goodness gracious. Where is Marte? Marte, 5 runs. None of them earned. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. Good for Marte. Good for Junior Marte. So that's what I got for you guys on the Phillies in their game yesterday. Before I get to the chat check, the 76ers did have a draft yesterday, if you can believe it. They got nothing from the draft, so they went undrafted route. Let's start it off with this gentleman, getting this off of NBADraft.net, a site I always like going to before and after the draft. This gentleman, Azulis Tubeless, power forward, quote unquote, out of Arizona. He was signed last night, Lithuanian kid, all right? He was signed by the 76ers on a 2-way deal. He is known for being an athletic center, according to NBADraft.net. He was actually a 65th ranked prospect by the Athletic. They had him ranked that high, so people thought he was going to be a second-round pick, or a fringe second-round pick, I guess would be the appropriate title there. And he was the 8th best center in the draft, according to NBADraft.net. NBADraft.net. Also, better than Drew Timme, who came in as the 10th ranked center of Gonzaga fame. The 10th ranked center in the NBA. He is the 10th ranked Drew Timme. This gentleman that the Sixers signed is the 8th best center. Also, they went ahead and signed Marvin Bagley's brother, Marcus Bagley, to a 10-day contract out of Arizona State. He is a small forward, running at 6'8", very athletic, coming out after his junior year, and just ready to attack the basket. Very aggressive player, but signed to just a 10-day deal. And let's do this one. I've been practicing it all morning, ladies and gentlemen. Terquavion Smith. Terquavion Smith. Point guard, shooting guard, combo guard out of NC State. A little younger for an undrafted guy coming out as a sophomore. 20 and a half years old, out of NC State. And he's also signed to a 2-way deal by the 76ers. Wild to think that this is where we're at now, ladies and gentlemen, where the process is over, very much over, and we're looking at the NBA draft with no picks. And here we are. Here we are. Let me tell you about Steven Singer. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, they'll treat you like a real family member at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. And how do they do that? Well, they do that with that perfect price. Because they don't want you to feel like you have to haggle or negotiate or anything like that. They just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful diamond jewelry that they have. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about Manscaped, the leader of below-the-waist grooming. Check out Manscaped.com. Manscaped.com, home of the Platinum Package 4.0, which is their best hygiene bundle yet. Their Platinum Package 4.0 includes their 4.0 lawnmower, as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And yes, they come with skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu. Kush. Well, that was a good one. And 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsStation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you beautiful people doing on this fine morning. Yes. Yes. I was late. Yes. I see I was late. Yeah. Hey, don't be late again. I won't. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Sean Kilrain. Sean Gillespie. All this money on the payroll, yet no offense. Kind of how it feels. Word on the streets in Philly. Phillies fans are not happy with Kyle Schwarber in the outfield. Can confirm. Can confirm. They were also asking about Kyle Schwarber's knee. Is his knee okay? Rob Thompson was like, as far as I know. Ray Fitzgerald. What's up, Ray? Oh, wait, hold on. Hey, how about Daryl Morey screwing the Sixers fans out of NBA draft last night? Thanks, Daryl. You're not wrong. Ray Fitzgerald, what's up? It looks to me like Harper's ready for the field the way he throws his helmet. Totally agree. The way he throws his helmet a couple of times in the last week and a half, it would be more than 90 feet. You're right. You know what? I didn't think to measure it, but you're right, Ray. Totally on the same page as you. Tyvita, good morning. I fell asleep last night. What happened? Did we get anybody? You signed 3, maybe 4, I think 4 undrafted guys, but the 3 guys are the main dudes that I just highlighted there. Tobias, here's all you need to know, Tavita. Tobias Harris is still a 76er. Mia Sanchez, morning all. Time to try Cody Clemens in left field. Can't be any worse. Haha. We should have kept Guthrie and DFA'd Schwarber. Yeah, right. Have a great weekend, and let's take 2 or 3 from the Mets. Or sweep them! I would love. It would make me feel so good if the Phillies just demolish the Mets this weekend. But with the Phillies' bats being as bad as they were against the Braves, it's hard for me to have a lot of confidence in the Phillies bashing anybody. Yeah, it's really hard. If you jump forward, it helps with the audio syncing. Damn it, we were having audio issues too. Sons of. There we go. Ben Simmons is low-key the reason the Sixers have no draft picks. Something else had to go to Brooklyn that would be an asset to them. All Simmons' fault. Man, Simmons really did find a way to screw us. That's for sure. Hey, Daryl Morey. That was me. I said that. Daryl Morey could have traded for Halliburton and kept Seth Curry and Draymond Green. Draymond Green. Andre Drummond, excuse me. Plus first-round picks. Thanks, Daryl. What did Halliburton end up going for? I remember that not being a lot. But I remember wanting the Sixers to be in on that sweepstakes too. And I'm trying to think, what did he end up going for? If only I could remember things off the top of my head, which I can't. Ever. Let's see if I can find this for you guys real quick. No, I don't need frequently asked questions about Tyrese Halliburton. Traded by the Sacramento Kings with Buddy Hield. That's right, Buddy Hield was a part of it. Tristan Thompson, Really nice. Then things are probably going to work out with Tristan and Chloe, by the way. Anyway, kidding. I don't know. The Pacers for Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb. Oh, my God. That's right. Domantas Sabonis. And a second round pick. Hot damn. So, yeah, it was mostly players, not picks. Damn it. That sucks. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that back in my brain, April, every day Schwarber reminds me more and more of Burrell out in left field. Ooh, baby. Tavita, I'm so glad I didn't stay up for the whole draft. Just disappointing. Hey, thank you. Yes, you went for Sabonis. Thank you. So what would the Sixers have done? Thibault? Thibault would have been in that. Korkmaz maybe as a throw-in. Yeah. And obviously Simmons, right? I don't know. It's the NBA is, when it comes to trades, I'd love to be able to do straight up things and just look back on trades in the NBA and say, oh, well, this for that, but then you have situations like Bradley Beal, which is a very weird situation where the player has complete control over where he goes. He can approve, he can suggest, he can find the trade. And so it's like with Simmons, it's like you had to trade him somewhere that he was going to want to go. And I don't know if he wanted to go to Sacramento. Now, it could be like Chris Paul would be like, yeah, I'm not playing, trade me right now. I don't know. But the Simmons thing, not only is it a first-round pick, not only is it a number 1 overall pick where you missed out on his first-year eligibility because he was hurt, but he ended up underperforming. You could say 3-time All-Star, fine, but I don't care about the label. We watched a guy not develop. And they ended up screwing the Sixers over again by not getting value. By getting a guy that, could be here for maybe 3-4 years, depending on what kind of contract the Sixers and James Harden agree to, because now I'm convinced he's coming back to Philadelphia. But he ends up screwing the Sixers over many times over. It's flipping terrible. Thank you, everybody in that chat. Let's go over to the Jacob Media YouTube channel, see what you guys are up to. Babs piping hot today. Farzy, here's Thompson's strategy. Wait until we play teams that suck, like the A's, the Mets, the Nationals, Royals, Cardinals, etc. Beat up on them and get those stats. Hey, you know what? If it keeps him in the playoff hunt for the wild card, then by all means. Morey, Harden, and Bede, that's the 76ers. Pretty much. Pretty soon the NBA will just be 3 picks, a bunch of no names. That's why college basketball is really bad. Ooh, Babs, hot button issue. College basketball being really bad. I mean, look, I appreciate college basketball as much as anybody else, but I still much rather watch the NBA. I don't like the goings on away from the game, but the game itself, I'd rather watch NBA basketball than college basketball. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, no, I just like watching pros. Warriors dump Poole with his huge salary. It can be done, but Morey is incompetent, and these fans only care about Embiid and his stats. It's Iverson all over again. It's a whole lot of nothing. Wow, Babs. Coming in with the takes today, Babs. That's interesting. I don't look at... I think because you could watch a much more... I don't know. With Iverson, I had a much different feeling with Iverson than I do Embiid. I find it, I mean, I don't know. I think Allen Iverson is one of the most electrifying, if not the most electrifying player ever in Philadelphia. Like, even with the Phillies with Schmidt, like, you still had Steve Carlton, who was great. And baseball can't be as exciting as basketball. Like, that's interesting. Just thinking about the energy players bring, I think Iverson's the most electric athlete ever in Philly. Certainly not accomplished in terms of championships. I get it. But just in terms of like, you have one ticket to go watch one of these players, who you going to watch? Oh, I'm going to watch Allen Iverson over Joel Embiid any day of the week. Just in terms of excitement and watching them play, I'm watching AI. I don't think that's a close debate. So I watched Iverson with a greater expectation. I don't watch Embiid with that same expectation. I got to look at other guys around him helping him more. With Iverson, especially the year they went to the finals, it was him and it was a bunch of great defensive players. So the offensive strategy was go Iverson or go Allen, do your thing. Anyway, yeah. Babs, Thompson talks tough, but he's a man of no action. Kyle is bad, home runs be damned. Oh, Kyle is bad, home runs be damned. Can't run on the field or hit. Looking at 186, too many excuses. I agree. Harper hasn't played in the field in over a year and never got his shoulder fixed last year. That's why this ridiculous situation is what it is. April. Hey, April. Pat Burrell is Gold Glove compared to Kyle Schwarber. I like Babs talking to April in the other chat. These are cross-chatting. I like it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Phillies back at it against the Mets tonight, 7:05 start time in South Philadelphia. Taijuan Walker will get the start for the Phillies against his old team, the Mets. Taijuan Walker, 3 straight starts now where he has only allowed 1 run. He's gone at least 5 innings. His last outing where he allowed more than 1 run was against the New York Mets, and it was the 4-2 loss against the Mets on June 1st in that one. In this game, he'll be going up against Kodai Senga of the New York Metropolitan. Senga is 6-4 on the season with a 3.53 ERA. He is coming off a not so good start against the Cardinals of all teams. He lasted 6 2/3, allowed 4 runs on 5 hits, including 2 home runs. He did strike out 8 the last time the Phillies faced him, though. A much better story for Kodai Senga. Not a good story for the Philadelphia Phillies. It was the 2-0 Phillies loss at the hands of the Mets. It was a 7-inning, 1-hit performance against the Phils. No runs across the plate in that one, and he struck out 9. Goo! The 30-year-old right-handed pitcher out of Japan just owned the Phillies in that particular game. So the Phillies got a 3-game series with the Mets over the weekend, looking to bounce back from dropping 2 of the 2 games that they were able to play against the Mets, or against the Braves. Start time tonight, 7:05, and then after that, you're going to have a 4:05 start time against the Mets, and then a 1:35 start time on Sunday to round out the series. Tonight's game, ladies and gentlemen, will be on Apple TV. Your pitching matchups for this series, by the way, Walker against Senga tonight, Sanchez against Carrasco, Wheeler against Scherzer at 1:35. So 2 former Mets starters get starts against the Mets in this particular series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you guys click like. Make sure you guys subscribe and all that fun stuff. Jim Hyde, produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Oh, whoa. Oh, my goodness. How dare I? April, I'm sorry. I said I was going to get to this on Friday. Today's Friday. I'm getting to it right now. Getting to this by Total Pro Sports. April sent me this story. As you guys know, those that have watched the show for a long time, I am a big fishing fan. And as in I love to fish. I don't follow the sport of fishing, okay? But April sent me this story about this fishing competition that happens around her in North Carolina. It is, wow, this is also reported by CNN. This is insane. April says that Michael Jordan participates in this. The 65th edition of the annual Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament was held in Morehead City, North Carolina. It's held from June 9th through the 18th. And apparently this year, controversy over a $3.5 million pot. She says, April told me in this little town that there's a lot of buzz going around these rules and around this tournament. So they catch this like record marlin, right? They bring it in for weighing, And they said because the fish was mutilated, so like a shark came up and bit it or something like that, it didn't qualify. So basically, according to the rules, the following situation will disqualify a fish. So these people catch this fish and they reel it in. It was a 619-pound marlin. They reel it in and they rule that the fish is to be disqualified because mutilation to the fish prior to landing or boating the catch caused by sharks or other fish, mammals, or propellers that remove or penetrate the flesh. So they disqualify it because of that. 619-pound marlin. It would have won, but they ended up disqualifying it. I don't know how this happens, but oh my goodness, imagine you pull in this marlin. I'm looking at these guys. The boat's name was Sensation. I love angler. Such a great, oh man. You know a person's a really good fisherman when they're like, oh, I'm an angler. Oh, what? Oh, so you're really good at fishing? But anyway, so they pull in this marlin. Imagine pulling this in. You think you got $3.5 million in your back pocket. And they're like, sorry. Looks like a shark took a bite out of it. You lose. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually looking at the fish itself. There's it looks like a little, for a 620-pound fish, it looks like there's a nibble taken out of it. Wouldn't that even, you don't, what? So anyway. They fought the fish for 6 hours, and they missed out on $3.5 million because of the bite. Damn, son. Oh, April. Heart goes out to those guys. Heart goes out to those guys. Now, seriously, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll be back with you guys tonight on the Jacob Media YouTube channel for the Phillies post-game show. So make sure you guys don't miss that one. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Jim Hyden produced the program. Did a wonderful job. My name is Mark Farzy. Have a great day. See ya.